Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7 is literally just sprinkled with foreshadowing. For instance, there's a moment where Cersei and Tyrion are having a conversation. It's actually the very end of that conversation, and Tyrion figures out that Cersei is pregnant. Right as he says this, there's an awkward silence, and then cutscene to a baby dragon skull. In my opinion, that's insinuating that Cersei's young child, representing the baby dragon skull, will die. And the conversation that ensues between Daenerys and Jon Snow is foreshadowing to how, in the end, House Targaryen will be restored. Jon literally tells Daenerys that, no, the witch who poisoned your husband, have you ever thought about her being wrong? Your house isn't dead. And the whole time he's saying all this stuff to her, I can't help but thinking he's literally referring to their house, and this is foreshadowing to a Targaryen restoration. In this video, I want to discuss the most likely leaks that have not only been sent to me through the DMs, but have also been seemingly confirmed from Season 7 foreshadowing in the promotional material so far that's been released for Season 8. I want to discuss the leaks that are most likely to happen. Now remember, nothing is confirmed until it airs on your television screens in a little over 2 weeks, and the leaks I mentioned in this video are meant to be taken with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, here's your sign and let's begin. Now before we get started, please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 2,420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then this is the most important part. Make sure you have notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Also, real quick, I have a subscriber goal of 75,000, and I'm trying to hit that before Game of Thrones Season 8 actually airs. If you want to do me a favor and help me reach that goal, go ahead and make sure you can click that subscribe button. Now the first bit of massive foreshadowing that has some leaks that support it that I want to discuss in this video is the conversation, or the tail end of the conversation, that Jon Snow, Daenerys, Cersei, and Tyrion all have in the Dragon Pit right before Cersei storms away and throws a temper tantrum. At 24 minutes in, she starts to explain to Jon Snow that she will agree to send her armies up north for them to help. In exchange for her extending this truce, she wants Jon Snow to bend the knee. After the dead are done, she wants him to promise that he will not choose sides and that he will remain in the north. Jon, of course, refuses this, but according to some leaks that I was sent through the DMs over on Twitter, speaking of which, make sure you go follow me at sir_hunts. Also check out my Instagram, sir_hunts_reviews. But this person stated that in Game of Thrones Season 8, right after the Battle of the Dead is finished, Cersei has the Golden Company surround Winterfell, and the dragons and most of Jon and Daenerys' forces are too wounded to put up a fight. Jon surrenders and travels with the Golden Company down to King's Landing. This person states that Cersei's plan in Season 8 is to force Jon Snow into not participating in the wars. She figures if the King in the North is missing, the northern armies will not join Daenerys' cause. Cersei's plan supposedly backfires when Bran decides to lead the army of the dead to King's Landing. Would you all let me know your thoughts on that leak down below in the comments section? I've actually been sent one similar before that mentioned Bran and Tyrion devise a plan to lead the army of the dead to King's Landing. The dead is already marching south, but naturally Tyrion and Bran decide that the wildfire is the only way to destroy the dead for good, but most of Daenerys' Dothraki forces are destroyed in the process. In the end of the season, Bran places the blame for this on Tyrion, and this is what results in his trial. And real quick before we move on, speaking of Tyrion's trial, I was actually sent a leak several months back that mentioned that it's not actually Daenerys and Jon Snow that are putting Tyrion on trial. In the end, they both agree that they will stay in the north and become king and queen of winter. Most of their army is defeated, all of Daenerys' dragons are dead, and Jon Snow and Daenerys have a child, so they agree that engaging in war with Cersei could result in them losing that child and everything close to them. At that point in the season, they had already lost so much they couldn't bear to lose any more. So Cersei offers them a choice: turn over Tyrion or face the wrath of her Golden Company. Daenerys and Jon immediately begin devising a plan, and Tyrion sort of accepts death. He willingly turns himself into Cersei and goes to the trial in King's Landing. Now obviously Jon and Daenerys would never willingly let one of their closest top advisors leave and go and ultimately be put to death, but supposedly Tyrion gives some sort of speech that ultimately convinces Jon and Daenerys to let Tyrion carry out his plans. Now when I first read that leak, I was like, what? No way, that's bullshit. Tyrion's not suicidal, so he wouldn't want to go and turn himself in. Jon, Daenerys, and him can all come up with some other way to make sure that this dilemma that Cersei has given all of them be put to rest. There's got to be some other way to deal with them other than just letting Tyrion die. But then I went back and rewatched that scene that he has with Cersei. In Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7, at about 32 minutes and 21 seconds in, my brain literally lights up and goes, Tyrion, what the fuck? What are you saying right now? Do you want to die? Right before he enters the room with Cersei, he tells his brother Jaime that maybe it's not the smartest idea to go and see someone who's tried to kill him twice, all of that he knows of. And then it dawned on me. Tyrion has accepted death. In this scene, Tyrion is okay with the fact that Cersei will be the one to kill him. This is a giant red flag alarm to foreshadowing that Tyrion will accept his death at the hands of Cersei next season. Now, the most popular leak, in air quotations there, that has come out over the entirety of this long night has been that Tyrion will cast a betrayal at some point in the next season. What's really hard to believe about that is the fact that Tyrion would actually willingly betray the one woman who not only he loves, but that he also thinks can make the world a better place. And on top of that, he's been with Jon Snow since literally day one. He instilled the courage in Jon Snow to wear his bastard status proud on his sleeve. That way, no one else can use it against him. And as soon as Jon Snow gets to the wall, he starts to get tested on this, and having the advice from Tyrion, this, in my opinion, gives him the courage to face Sir Alliser Thorne. And if I'm being honest here, that advice that Tyrion gives to Jon Snow has affected me in my daily life. I use that all the time. For instance, whenever I'm in an argument, I'm always the first one to point out where I'm wrong, so that way someone else can't do it. But getting back on track here, when I was brainstorming, it's impossible for me to think of any sort of situation where Tyrion would willingly betray Jon Snow or Daenerys. The only way that it would be interpreted as a betrayal is if Tyrion has a plan to ultimately better and further everyone's position, and then that plan backfires. And that's really the only way I could see it going down, as Tyrion betraying Daenerys, resulting in him having a trial at the end of the season. But in my opinion, it's far more likely that the second option, if there is a betrayal from Tyrion or the season ends in a trial of Tyrion, then it will be because Cersei has survived and is putting Tyrion on trial for his crimes. Tyrion will likely willingly turn himself in, and this could result in him dying. Now, in my opinion, this would be the third, or this fits in line with being the third shocking twist that the show and the books will share. In the novels, it's way more clear that Tyrion's betrayal is going to become more of a thing. Tyrion is way more manipulating, calculated, and the fact that we get to read his internal dialogue lets us know that a betrayal is something that he's way more capable of. That's something that's pretty much absent from the TV show, so if he does do something that would cause Jon and Daenerys to consider it a betrayal from Tyrion, it would be out of left field, and no one would really see it coming. And now that I said that out loud, that does kind of fit the theme of the television series. Hell, maybe it will happen in Game of Thrones Season 8. Now, the next leak / bit of foreshadowing that I want to discuss in this video is that of Jon Snow riding on Drogon or on Rhaegal, or just joining Dany on the back of a dragon. He's the only one of the main cast, aside from Sansa and Arya and the folks that stayed in Winterfell last season, that has not ridden a dragon. Literally, this ginger fucking bear from north of the wall has ridden a dragon, and Jon Snow hasn't done this. In my opinion, this is direct foreshadowing. The moment in Game of Thrones Season 8 when Jon Snow finally mounts a dragon will be monumentous. I'm pretty sure they're saving it until after he finds out about his lineage. This will immediately give him the courage to want to ride a dragon. Okay, I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself, but just hear me out. There's a moment in the Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer where Jon and Daenerys are walking up to the dragons. This scene is immediately followed by Drogon and Rhaegal flying through a wintry backdrop. Now, I digitally enhanced this video, upgraded the quality to true 1080p 60 FPS, zoomed in, brightened the image, and was able to discover a massive black blob that seems to follow the back of the dragon. Doesn't really make any other sense in my opinion unless there was a figure on the back of this dragon that had been CGI digitally removed after the footage had been cut out of whatever scene or whatever episode it was in and edited together for this trailer. Now, there was also another moment at the beginning of the trailer where Arya's running down a hallway, and I noticed that there's clearly something that has been removed from that image as well. I speculated that it's probably someone close to her that has just been turned into a white, and that's why she looks so terrified. But in my opinion, I feel like this image of the two dragons from the Season 8 trailer flying through the wintry backdrop is Jon Snow and Daenerys on their first dragon flight together. This is most likely going to be right after Jon Snow finds out his true lineage, and the main reason why I believe this is something that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. In Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 7, Jon and Daenerys have a conversation right after Tyrion calls out Cersei for being pregnant. Jon and Daenerys have a conversation where Jon tells Daenerys that her family isn't over. They're not dead yet. You're still here. Daenerys then tells Jon that she can't have children, basically insinuating that she's the last of the Targaryens. After she dies, there will be no more. Jon says, I wouldn't trust the advice of a woman who murdered your husband. In my opinion, this scene was foreshadowing to the moment in the trailer where Jon and Daenerys are in the crypts and it looks as though Daenerys is comforting Jon. This is right after Jon Snow finds out his lineage. Daenerys will likely give Jon Snow a very similar pep talk to the one he gave her in the dragon pit, and then right after that, I see the two of them riding off to go ride their new dragons. I've mentioned this in several videos before. I feel like the reason why the ancient Valyrians initially tamed the dragons and rode them is because dragons need riders. If this wasn't the case, then they likely would have been able to, after bonding with the dragons, send them off into battle, and the Valyrian would sit to the side while the dragon took care of business. But that's not actually the case. They need to ride the dragons in order to ensure them victory, and I predict this will be one of the main reasons why Jon Snow will mount a dragon in Game of Thrones Season 8. The reason why Drogon survived north of the wall is because Daenerys was able to get him to duck, dive, and dodge out of the way just in the nick of time. My speculation aside, you all let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. Now, as far as the leaked part to Jon Snow riding a dragon, I was actually sent one a few weeks ago, actually at this point it's several months ago, that mentioned that Jon Snow in Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 3 during the Battle of Winterfell, this is the time when Jon Snow first mounts Rhaegal. Jon supposedly does this out of pure desperation, and his true lineage has nothing to do with it. This person did mention that there were moments earlier on in the season that sort of foreshadowed Jon Snow riding Rhaegal at some point. Now, before we move on to the last thing that I want to discuss in this video, I want to mention that there will be a Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer this Sunday. Make sure you have your notification. Just make sure you have everything turned on. There's no word yet on when the time will be, but I imagine it will be around the same time that the first trailer for Game of Thrones Season 8 was released, was right at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Kit Harington is supposed to be hosting SNL sometime in April, and I'm pretty sure that all the other big major cast stars are going to start appearing on late night shows. Don't be surprised if within the first week of April, we get an actual full out 30 to 45 second clip from probably the first episode. I remember we got a few of them for Game of Thrones Season 6, and one of them was the one where Davos mentions how he's never been much of a fighter. Let me know down below what you all think that clip or that scene from Season 8 is going to contain. In my opinion, like I said, it's going to be from Episode 1, and it's likely going to be the introduction between Jon Snow, Daenerys, and Sansa. They've already shown us a few seconds of that scene, so them showing an extended version of it would be a nice treat and wouldn't give away too much right before the episode comes out. Now, the last thing I want to discuss in this video is actually an interview that David Benioff did with Entertainment Weekly. They were talking about the true motivation of the Night King, something that's been heavily teased throughout the entirety of this promotion campaign for Season 8. Now, David is actually quoted as saying, "I don't think of him as evil," referring to the Night King. "I think of him as death, and that's what he wants for all of us. It's why he was created, and that's what he's after." Now, I've speculated on the Night King a bunch before in the past. One of my favorite theories is that I think the Night King is searching for Jon Snow, that his target is to find half-breeds like himself. I speculated that the Night King could actually be the product of the first union of ice and fire, and the only way for him to live on and carry on a species is to find another hybrid, that being Jon Snow. My speculation aside, one of the leaks that have been sent for the Night King includes him attempting to warg into Jon Snow, being unsuccessful, and this is how the living find the way to defeat the dead. The Night King cannot control those who have been brought back using the light of R'hllor, and alongside the help of Melisandre and the Fire Priest, they're able to beat the Night King into submission. Now, just sort of jumping back to what David Benioff said in the interview, he likes the idea of the Night King being death. This was why he was created, and this is his true purpose. Well, if that's the case, then that's not very climactic for the end of Game of Thrones. I think there's going to be a little bit more revealed about his true origin, but I do agree with David in the sense that the most mysterious conclusions are sometimes the most satisfying. Leaving things open for interpretation and not spelling out everything 100% would be one of the most perfect ways to end this show and still leave people wanting more for that prequel series. You all let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. Alright, and with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could please slap a like on this video, as the like goal is going to be 2,420. Also, make sure you're subscribed. I have a subscriber goal of trying to hit 75,000 right before Game of Thrones Season 8 comes out, and I would really love it if you all help me reach that goal. Also, and this is the most important part, make sure you have notifications turned on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop a Game of Thrones video throughout this long night. Super special shout out to every single person watching this video, and a super special thank you to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.